Hello children, dear parents, grandparents, our teachers and beloved, the friends of this concept of the very, very special way of teaching and learning. Unfortunately, the COVID-19, like a World War III situation, is bringing up challenges. But in a way, I find more and more parents are realizing the working through virtual, learning through virtual, has given the children a tremendous amount of safety, and the teacher and the taught are still exchanging good amount of information. And it is good, it is safe, it is nice, but I want you to pray along with the school so that we go ahead and have the situation where COVID-19 is absolutely obliterated. By the way, there is an order come from the Supreme Court that, many people were saying that the COVID-19 is a force majeure, but it is not force majeure. Force majeure is generally a natural destructions like earthquake and volcanoes and tidal waves. By that, then it will be force majeure. And force majeure can bring a lot of relief to basically a lot of terms of understanding of social condition, legal and things like that. So COVID-19 has been taken away from force majeure because COVID-19 is not natural. It has been created by human beings. But what I want you to understand is something which Vivekananda taught in 1896, more than 100 years ago, to the world, to America and Europe, and he gave 2 lectures on macrocosm and microcosm. I'm going to touch upon that for a little bit of information, short talks, find out, do a little research. Vivekananda is saying, we keep talking about what is written in Ashok Stamba, Satyameva Jayate, truth shall always win. Why is it that majority of the people, barring very few, I know some of our kids, 70, 75, 78% of our children, when I talk to the parent, I so get enamored, beautifully elated when I hear them straight away. I don't ask them, do they tell lies? I say, have you noticed that our children is who? Mommy, daddy's kids, who happen to be congregating together toward the learning journey, do not tell lies. I tell them, have you noticed it? Any child who is over here for more than 3 years, you know why? Because children are naturally born truthful people. How do we establish this truth? It is already, we are born with it. All children, poor children, beggars' children, king's children, really well-educated children. Where do the lies come from then? I've been doing a lot of introspection and thinking about it. I do not tell lies today for quite some time. Decades. Maybe 5 decades. But I wish I had known the power of the truth. I want you to realize it, and I know some of your kids are doing it. 70-75% of you. I feel really so happy to hear that, because the truth will always win. Satyameva Jayate. Hold on to that truth. Make it your asset. I read some of your kids when you're talking about it, that I have discovered being with the Victorious Kidss and being with my parents and my teachers, that all power is within me. It's not out there. And truth alone will make it happen. They are true. Very good realization. Vivekananda is saying, no amount of conversation, talks or lecture is going to make you truthful until or unless you make that quality as your own by feeling it, by realizing the power of the truth. Of course, how? By practicing it. Start making your normal process. Even by jokes, I'm not going to tell a lie. Soon, April 1st will come up. Famously, April Fool Day. Everybody tells lies and say, oh, I was just joking. No, don't. There are beautiful ways of humoring on April Fool Day too, without telling a lie. Think of it. You all are so greatly ingenious, dear parents, and your very special children. We are saying each one of you are very special. We are telling you, parent, grandparents, you professional, you children, doing so well. Continue to play the role of 100 out of 100, 10 out of 10. Play the role of a student, of a child, of a sister, of a brother, of a father, of a mother, of a grandparent, of a professional, of a sports person, of a writer. Play 10 out of 10. And all the time doing that role of a father, of a mother, of a grandparent, of a child, of a friend. Play 10 out of 10, meaning not making one mistake. I have to be perfect. Not make it a pressure. Just like, supposing you're a girl. And there is no doubt that you know I am a girl. Supposing you're a boy, you know I have no doubt I am a man, or I'm a woman, I'm a girl, I'm a boy. How do you know that? You say, I just know it. And if I ask you, are you sure, you're going to get upset. You say, what do you mean? Of course I'm sure. But I ask you, and this is what I ask many of the boys and girls when they're preparing for their assessment and examination. If you are sure that you are a boy and you are a girl, how is it that you are not sure you're 100 out of 100, you're 56 out of 56, you are 45 out of 45 in DP or MYP 56 out of 56, all the time? You know why? Because we have forgotten about it. We have forgotten about something. You're listening to me, you can hear me, you can watch me, you can identify. How? Because of that something which you and I have forgotten. So Vivekananda talked about macrocosm, was the first lecture, 1896. Have you realized the West, Western science, and East, Eastern philosophy? They are apparently miles apart. But now our Victorious Kidss principle and the ancient Vedanta and what great masters of all religion, whether Christianity or Islam or Judaism or Jainism or Buddhism or Guru Nanak Sikhism or Hinduism, every one of them, and whichever one I missed out, they all are striving for the same perfection and no suffering in life. How do we do that? By doing that truthful actions and be kind to people. Practice this. Little more days of holiday, I believe increased till 28th of this month. But hold on to that purity. Practice that with your parent, with your friends, with your brothers and sisters, and just watch. You know, a very simple thing, they did a study of children. This happened about 20 years ago in US. And name was Alan Watt. The very famous book. And Alan Watt's book, the name itself is book. So you can't forget it. Alan Watt is writing a beautiful story about how did God come into being and how did human being come into being. It is a story format for children, but it's got a wonderful essence, philosophy behind. He's saying God was all by himself. A story, okay? I'm not talking about being God or godly or following a religion, okay? I'm just telling you a beautiful story. Alan Watt, the book. He said God was all alone and he got bored. He wanted to play. Now who is he going to play with? When you want to play, you have to have somebody to play. He didn't have anybody. The God being God and very powerful and can do anything, the God created and pretended to be that creation called, wait for it, not God. Now God had God and God had not God. And God became very happy and started playing. And God being so godly and so powerful, whatever he does beautiful, no? Perfect. He became perfect, not God. And Alan Watt in this story is saying, and children, parent, grandparent, teachers, people like you and me are those not God who have forgotten and now playing the role of a not God. And you know what are the problems and the suffering and sickness and disease and COVID-19 and everything else comes up, and sadness and relationship problem, money problem, no job, not earning enough, food. Not God. God has no problem as per theistic religion. God or not God. We are not talking about that. This is just a story to tell you that through these stories we need to play. You know, there is a beautiful statement by Vivekananda used to talk about Jiva Prem in Sanskrit. If you love the Jivas, anybody, everybody, poor, the destitute, the rich, the good people, the intellectual, non-intellectuals, those who are suffering, those who are not suffering, kings, what, everybody. If you have kindness toward them, in other words, kindness toward everyone, if you do that, is called Shiva Gyan. That means you're worshipping as per Hinduism. Shiva is the supreme, and you will get the supreme knowledge, and nothing wrong will go wrong with you. It doesn't mean stop taking precautions for COVID-19. Sure, no, you are protected. Take the mask and those precautions and the vitamin C with zinc, goggling, whatever is required. Take the precautions, but no, I am protected. It's just like I know I'm a girl. I know I'm 100 out of 100. I know I'm a boy. I cannot make mistakes. Build up that. So in the macrocosm, Swami Vivekananda is talking about, in the Western philosophy went ahead and started discovering what is out there, outside, and took great discoveries of science and technology and industry and computer, digital mechanism and telescopes. And you can look at Hubble scope, you can look for thousands of kilometers. Microscope, you can look within, which you can't see with your eyes, either telescopic or microscopic. And they went ahead and discovered great things and made our lives so comfortable. Whether it is cooking system or air conditioning system or an automobile system or a mobile system or anything that you can think about, our life has become so easy. We could not think. Just press of a button, you can send an instant message across the globe. And at one time, so many thousands. Now, there's social media today. That's the technology. But in which the West did tremendous discovery and was far ahead of the Eastern philosophy, Eastern discoveries of the world outside. East also had done, but not to that extent. East did. They went to the planets and discovered many things about the planet and talked about the Anu and Paramanu, that is the atomic particle, and many, many other things, but not to the extent that the West did. West is ahead of that. Must be finding it difficult to believe and listen from me, no, isn't it? Because I am always talking about Vedanta. No, it is true. West is far ahead. So Vivekananda in this book on education for character talks about here that what we want is the Western science, technology and educational concept, but don't forget, couple it with Vedanta. Why? Because of the microcosm. Opposite of macro, which is outside, is micro. Now West does have about the body. They did a lot of research on the body, about the various parts, and today without cutting open you can do a heart surgery or a laser eye operation. Just 3 minutes, a cataract is removed. And you can go out and start walking. Maximum resting time for 1 day or 2 days. If patient wants to take more days, it's okay, but they are allowed to go out straight away. Earlier, you should spend weeks for resting. So Western science has done, including human body. But now when you go further inside, this is called Sthula Sharir, gross body. Then you go to Sukshma Sharir, mind stuff. Yes, Western science has done a lot of research on psychology, on psychoanalysis and psychotherapy, and similarly things like kinesiology and things like that. Lots of beautiful departments have come in. There's a beautiful research going on in New York University, NYU. David Chalmers, I've spoken about it. He is the head and the co-director of consciousness, mind, brain system. Today, David Chalmers is talking about hard facts of consciousness. They cannot say that how do you get that first person experience when you just look at a rose. What happens? Light reflects on the rose and comes into the cornea. That whole rose doesn't come and enter my eye for me to see the rose or this computer or you. The light reflects on it, cornea makes an image and sends it through electrical tiny sparks to the brain neurons. Neurons make connection with another neuron and make a story, and it gives you an impression on the mind called I see a rose on Valentine's Day, and you feel emotion, elation, joy, happiness, love. How does that happen? Today, David Chalmers is saying hard facts of consciousness. But there is opposite. And in that, today, they say it is not hard fact of consciousness alone. It is also hard fact of matter, material. What is the hard fact of the material? That matter is disintegrating. Notice the atom bomb, nuclear bombs. What are they? Break down the matter, break down, and come down to molecules and cells. Further down to atoms. And you all are doing this beautiful study. And for the younger children, parents, tell them a story like. I will also come down and tell for the younger children. And those tiny particles, break them down further, fission and fusion. And today, they're coming out with meson, boson, lepton, cryon, and now further, string theories, particle theories. Matter is vanishing. What is matter? If you look at it in the dictionary, it says anything that occupies space. But Vedanta says matter is that, object is that which you can say this. Whatever you say, this is an object. So this, I can say this book, this computer, this body, this mind, this thought, this feeling, they're all objects. So the microcosm and macrocosm is Vivekananda's talk. Second talk was the microcosm. That Eastern philosophy, Vedanta, discovered Sukshma Sharira, mind, intellect, ego, memory, feelings, emotions, tremendously advanced. And even further than the Sukshma Sharira is called Karana Sharira. And this Karana Sharira is called the causal body. So, it is the gross body, it is the fine body, and then it is the causal body. What is the causal? It causes the mind to function. Imagine two cars stopped on the traffic crossing point. Imagine you are in California and you suddenly look at the other car, you say, no driver, Google car. You are driving, Google car driving, changes into green light, both are going ahead. Maybe Google car is doing it much better than you, but you're feeling that groupness, feeling the cool wind and flying with a convertible car or a race car is a different joy and a feeling and experience. Google car doesn't have that. You go to the airport, door opens. It's not like when somebody comes and presses the bell and you open the door and I say, hi. That is not there. Door just opens. No feelings. You put your hand in front of the electronic tap. Water starts to flow. It doesn't have any feeling. It just studies and gives. But you drink that water and you say, so nice. So this is called the microcosm within. And then finer to that is the consciousness alone. Now the mind and the brain. Brain is operating. Remember this diagram which we had talked about before? This is the consciousness. This is consciousness is always, you and I are unconscious of the consciousness. But children, parent, we cannot do anything without this consciousness. Like we are unconscious or coma. Or worst is, I am dead. If I am dead, I have no consciousness. Little consciousness, coma. Little better, unconscious. Little better, deep sleep. Little better, awakened, but absent-minded, not focused. And this is what we're talking about in the microcosm. Today, Western world is talking about how to get focused. Yes, there are a lot of work has gone in. But here I'm talking about consciousness is like the sun's light falls on a moon at night, full moon night. You're enjoying the full moon. But you never see the sun. And that light is nothing else but the moonlight, isn't it? But you don't see the sun. You don't see the consciousness. Now, understand this. This mind, the brain, reflective consciousness, senses getting the data from the world and the body, it getting the data to the mind for you to microcosm. It's very special in ancient India. And this consciousness is, there are two properties called intrinsic property or borrowed properties. So remember the example we had talked about, hot potato. It is hot because it borrowed heat from the hot water. Soon enough it will grow cold. Vivekananda takes the example of hot iron. And he said soon enough that light will go away, it will become cold. It is borrowed. Now the hot potato borrowed heat from hot water. Which borrowed heat from hot pan? Which borrowed heat from the hot fire? But the fire's property is intrinsic. Similarly, is this mind-body consciousness. Consciousness, the power of understanding, focusing your powerful mind, brain, and the body, the senses. Consciousness is intrinsic quality. It's extremely powerful, no limit, infinite. Mind and body borrow it like the moonlight, like the hot potato. Another example, Vivekananda is talking 1896. I'm delighted to have to come to know about it. He's talking about the water cycle. You know the water cycle? We used to draw in our school days the design and explain the water cycle and get 10 out of 10 if we did a good drawing. The water evaporates, and with the sun's beam, as Vivekananda very poetically expressing, dancing through the sunbeam, goes into and becomes a cloud in the sky and converts it into rain and falls back again onto the ocean and the river and the pond, and again to germinate, recycling one to the other. And there's a beautiful statement. If you have World Book Encyclopedia or go through the Google, read it in the water cycle. Wonderful example. I had read it maybe 30-40 years ago, but I can't forget it. Such a beautiful example. The example goes on to say, the water that you took bath on this morning may have been, it goes on to say like this, the water that you're drinking right now, yes, water that you're drinking right now may have been the water Alexander the Great drank 2000 years ago or took bath in it, or may have been there in the river Ganga or Indian Ocean or Pacific Ocean in America. Water cycle. And if you remember the water cycle, no wastage of water from the beginning of the time till today. It is the same quantity of the water, not reduced, not increased. And we keep thinking must be reducing water problems, no? So, dear champion children, my beloved parents, I love you all, grandparents, our teachers, continue to work, develop that microcosm within and learn more about the macrocosm. Powerful world within. You can do anything by sticking to the truth, by being kind, being good to everyone around you. Be 10 out of 10 in everyone. Whatever you touch, it must turn into, metaphorically speaking, diamond or gold, meaning perfection. And just watch. And there's a beautiful statement given in Vedanta being quoted by Vivekananda. When you do those good things, there is a theory in Hinduism and many other religion talks about karma theory. When you do that, whether you believe in that theory or not, action opposite equals reaction as per science, Newton's law of motion. What happens? He said, thousands of angels are waiting to help you and protect you from everything, including COVID-19, and give you a brilliant future. Namaste. I wish you good luck and have a beautiful day. Looking forward to meet you. Hey, come on, join me with your prayers and pray every day, morning and evening. Let's start the school. I love you all.